Welcome to the Awareness Angle. I'm Anthony Davis. I'm back again with my amigo Luke Pettigrew. How you doing, Luke?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. How are you?
I've got no idea where amigo came from.
It just kind of fell out, so apologies. I don't think I've ever called you my amigo before.
No, there's many different ones, but that's the new one.
Yes. Good to be back on another episode. This week we have the news. We are talking about awareness programs for 2025. We've got some interesting Google search results, tips to protect your phone from thieves, some really cool things that I've seen. Luke, have you brought anything to the party this week?
Yeah, so we've got it's a couple of weeks old, but the honey extension scam that's been going around mainly on YouTube.
I've heard about it, but I don't know too much about it, so that'd be a good one.
Yeah, and then the other thing is a New Year's Eve gathering that wasn't really happening, but we'll touch on that later.
Okay, we'll get to that. Lovely. Okay, well let's crack on with the news first of all. So a few items in the news for you to tell your people about. The first one that I saw this week was 16 Chrome extensions hacked, exposing over 600,000 users to data theft. Now, I know many organizations that don't manage Chrome extensions are a thorn in the side, right? Because they're tough to police, they're tough to cage, they're tough to restrict in some ways. And I think I saw a stat today that said 66%, I think, of browser usage is now Chrome. I think it's growing further and further.
Yeah.
So Edge is second and Safari was third, I think. I'm sure Firefox would have been higher up at some point. But yeah, 16 Chrome extensions hacked, and some of these are really none of them are really big. Like, I didn't look at them and go, "Oh, I know that," but some of them sound like the type of thing that people would install.
Yeah.
You've got AI Assistant, ChatGPT and Gemini for Chrome, Bard AI chat extension, GPT-4 summary with OpenAI, Copilot AI Assistant for Chrome.
Those AI ones are always popular, aren't they? Yeah, not surprised.
The other thing is as well, everyone's searching for AI at the moment, and everyone's like, oh, so they're probably trendy things to have on there. There's also other ones: Internext VPN, Reader Mode, Parrot Talks, Tacker, which is an online keylogger tool.
All right.
AI Shop Buddy. There's a full list. We'll put the full list in the article. But essentially, these, what are they doing? There's Cyberhaven disclosed a threat actor had compromised its browser extension and injected malicious code to communicate with an external command and control server. And phishing email, which purported to come from Google Chrome Web Store developer support, sought to induce a false sense of urgency by claiming their extension was at imminent risk of removal from the extension store, citing a violation of developer program policies. So, yeah, it's the attack targeted publishers of browsers extension on the Chrome Web Store via a phishing campaign. So this is interesting. So it's not, someone hasn't created malicious things, but they've phished the actual publishers and used their access permissions to insert malicious code into legitimate extensions in order to steal cookies and user access tokens, which obviously give a lot of access.
That's crazy. 600,000 users as well.
Yeah. So check out the article, and if any of those extensions are in use in your business, you probably want to have a look and get them gone, I would have thought. The next one I wanted to talk about this week was something I saw a few days ago on LinkedIn. It's got quite a lot of comments, but it was about AI and deepfakes, and a company called ID.me have apparently stopped a real-time deepfake as part of their identification process.
Right.
So there's a clip of the video, which is really, really good. Let me just see if I can get this on here for you. Obviously, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, you won't be able to see it, but you can check it out on YouTube. I'm just going to
confirm your name.
So I'm just going to mute that there, but you can see he says verify the name, and you can see the face is looking around. It's got a headset on, pair of headphones. It does look a bit dozy, like the person doesn't look like they're very engaged. They're quite droopy eyed, not much movement in the face. There's a hand on the headset, which is quite realistic, that does add a bit of realism. But any second now, what happens is their ID card comes up in front of their face. And then you can quite clearly see the person as the just like on filters on Snapchat or on phones, the minute it doesn't identify, there's a full face, it breaks the illusion. And you can see straight away that the minute they hold their ID up, it's not that person behind the camera. So, that's that video, that story is a great one to tell your users, because it looks fairly good until it isn't.
Yeah.
So,
especially with being live, it's quite impressive, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't long ago where one of the cybersecurity companies not hired the Korean person who claimed to be a US citizen.
Yeah, that was KnowBe4, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were probably avoiding naming them, and I've just spat it out. Yes, but you've got to admire KnowBe4 for that, because KnowBe4 owned it.
Yeah.
And they used that. They came out and they told everyone.
It's really good learning for everybody, isn't it?
Oh, it's like even the experts can get fooled sometimes, right? No, they're just like me last week with the video I thought was AI, but wasn't AI.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, yeah. It's it just goes to show sometimes being honest and hands up, we got it wrong, is a good learning in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the next news item is yours, or did I put that there?
Yeah, it's one of those I found.
Okay.
So yeah, this one is the US Department of Health and Human Services proposing a new cybersecurity ruling for healthcare organizations, which, is obviously healthcare industry is very targeted, as we know. Obviously, this is a US-based thing, and it's just a proposal. But so this is basically about enhancing their cybersecurity in these healthcare hospitals and everywhere else, but including enhancements to mandatory multi-factor authentication, which you think should be a pretty standard thing these days for businesses to implement, but as well as that, encrypting data using systems that are, I guess, cloud-based and being compliant where they can. Obviously, the whole idea behind it is to decrease the issues with ransomware attacks and data breaches and all that sort of thing there. So obviously there's been recent breaches and ransomware attacks at these places. So one of the ones in this news story, which is PC Mag, was United Health, where it exposed millions of patient records and disrupted their services, which is a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
But it's good to see these sorts of things being taken a bit more seriously. Obviously, it costs a lot of money to implement them, but it equally costs a lot more in the event of a breach or obviously damage to the business and all kinds of things, really, from exposing patient data. But that was quite an interesting story there.
Yeah, I've got the article up here, and it's pointed out how healthcare data has been increasingly being traded on the dark web with the opportunity to blackmail individuals, which is like...
Yeah, I think as well as states, over 100% incidence as an increase of that since 2019. So you've had a lot more happening these days.
Yeah,
you see it a lot.
It's awful.
Every other week there's across the world, the healthcare industry's been targeted by ransomware or data breach.
Yeah, we've got, people we know or people I know that work in the healthcare industry doing our job. It's like, it's not... I don't envy them. It's
No.
probably not an industry that I would choose to work in, because you're almost guaranteed to get
Yeah, very
prodded out and
targeted,
poked
isn't
and
it?
hit, and yeah. And it's really, it's the lowest of the low, isn't it? You know, like healthcare, like leave it alone.
I think
Go for the rich people and all
Unfortunately,
their money. Leave the healthcare alone.
hackers don't have morals, do they?
Well, no.
Most of them don't.
Well, some
Some
do. Let's not tar them all with the same brush. We'll be targeted, but yeah. Cool. We'll put details of that in the newsletter and in the show notes. Just a reminder, while we mention that, of course, if you're listening to this and you aren't aware, we have an Awareness Angle newsletter that is released every Monday morning along with each episode, and it gives you highlights of what's been discussed in the episode. And it also gives you more detail on the awareness angle you can spin on these stories. So it will tell you how you can use these to make your employees, colleagues, staff aware of the risks that they face. And you can sign up to that on my LinkedIn page or riskycreative.com and sign up for the newsletter there. It's on LinkedIn and on email. Right. The next thing on the list today, Luke, is we were going to talk a little bit about the awareness program for 2025.
Yep.
So obviously it's a new year, new beginnings. A lot of people plan ahead. And indeed, we've done some planning. We have goals. Luke and I currently work together, but that's changing very, very shortly as I'm moving on to pastures new. So we're both going to be kind of in charge of our own destiny somewhat. So yeah, it's if you had to tip one or two things for 2025, what's the two big things or one big thing that you're going to be focusing on in the new year with your awareness campaign?
That question's to me.
Yes, that question's to you.
Yeah, that'd be interesting as well to hear what other people do. But yeah, I think really, obviously, we have goals set, and a lot of the stuff we do would be to, I guess, to make sure those are hit. But I think more importantly, it's just really just getting those basics checked off for me. Things like using the approved password manager is quite a big one. Obviously, yeah, there's a lot of people that either don't use the password manager and write stuff down or remember it, or they use unapproved methods or the browser-based methods as well. But I think theirs is really important, making sure people have a good, solid password and are using a password manager, really.
I think that's just taking that for a second. I think that's a really good thing to talk about at the beginning of a new year.
Yeah.
It's a chance. We've done things before where we've said New Year health check and that kind of thing, and getting people on board, like password managers. I'm conflicted on password managers, right? Because I use one. I don't use a browser-based password manager. I use a password manager, but if someone was less technical, I could understand why they wouldn't use one. And so, yes, a password manager is a good thing to recommend. And if you're in a business, make everyone use them, make them easy to access, make them standard, lead by example, reduce the barrier to entry, grease the cogs and help people along the way. Everybody, not just the security team, but it should become part of the induction, part of, right, you've got your new computer. Now let's get your password manager set up. Let's make sure it's set up on a corporate account.
Walk them through, whether it's an in-person thing or a video they can watch or a little step-by-step guide.
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I've been doing some stuff. We talked about passkeys and password managers a couple of episodes ago, but passkeys are the future. Okay, there's no denying passkeys are the future, and a passwordless future is what is in store, but we're not there yet. And there's so many systems that can't be there yet. So I think whilst passkeys aren't the ideal solution, a hybrid solution is probably really dirty and really not very user friendly. And this is a really important thing where the technical convenience needs to meet complexity, right? Because if you're like, oh, we're bringing in passkeys, but it only works on 7 systems, and the other 84 systems you need a password for, don't bring passkeys in. Like, go as much as you can on passwords. So yeah, passwords is a great one, I think, and password managers like help people on board with that as much as possible.
Yeah. Have you got one that you would recommend? Like, not password manager, but a thing for 2025?
So one thing, and I know we've spoken about this, but for me, it's the, I think getting everything right from the off. So we've looked at inductions, and I think getting your induction down to a T, getting people on the right path from the moment they join, and then bringing others along on that. So creating some good content. Like, if you set your stall out from the off with new employees, then what you can do is you can bleed that out into the rest of the staff as well. So I think just reinforcing some basic behaviours. People, over time, people's habits will get worse, and people will gradually stop doing what they're meant to be doing, or stop doing it in the way that you told them to do it. And it's really easy for us to forget about the basics sometimes. One thing, for example, like, does everybody in your business know how to change their password? Because it's not always quite straightforward if you've got Mac users, Linux users, Windows users, and different platforms.
Yeah.
So in the event that a user gets notified that their account has been breached or that their password is insecure, do they know how to change their password? So there's simple things you kind of assume that people know. Do people know why your password policy is what it is? If your password policy is 15 characters, do people know why it's 15 characters? Do people know why they shouldn't go password, password, password? Do they? Are you telling them? It's really easy to assume people know this because we've talked about it loads, and the security team knows. So put yourself in the shoes of your kind of most vulnerable user, raise the bar a little bit, and then go from there, is what I would say. Even if it isn't all year, just as a kind of individual campaign, back to basics, essentials, the ground, call it whatever you want, like where it all begins or something like that. And just that would be a really good initiative for a new year, I think, like a real kind of back to basics approach.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I actually had, if anyone wasn't aware, back in November, I was invited to be on a webinar that Hoaxes hosted that was called 8 Strategies to Drive Security Awareness Year Round. And in that was with Maxime Cartier, who from Hoaxes, and we each came up with 4, and then we batted back and forth these 8 strategies, 8 tips essentially. It's a really good webinar to get some tips from, I think, because it maps it out on the year, gives you a timeline, and the idea was that now Cybersecurity Month is done in October. Where do you go from here? How do you keep that momentum? So yeah, that's worth checking out. We'll put a link to that in the newsletter as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, should we move on to some topics and some stories? I've got a few interesting bits that I saw this week that I thought I'd mention. The first one was something that I actually saw on Reddit, and it was on a really random, wasn't a security or IT related thing, but I thought this was brilliant. So if you Google, and this works for me here in the UK, so I'm assuming it works everywhere. If you go to Google, and if anyone's listening sat in front of a computer, you can do this now and it probably still work. Let me know if it doesn't. If you go to Google and search for Encanto 2. So Encanto was the Disney film that came out in 2021. It's been played to death in my house because my 4-year-old loved Encanto. And it's a great film, one of Disney's like best of the latest ones. Well, Google Encanto 2 and you get an AI overview from Google that says Encanto 2, A New Generation, is an animated musical fantasy comedy film that will be released in the United States on August the 25th, 2024. It's the sequel to the 2021 film Encanto. No, it's not, because it didn't come out in August 2024. And I don't even think it's in production. But what's happened is Google's AI overview has picked this up from a website called IdeaWiki, which is a fandom page. And essentially someone's posted an idea, a synopsis, cast, development, and it's not in production. This is all false. And even to the point where it says with a runtime of 115 minutes, it's the second longest Disney animated film. So I thought it's really interesting. That led me, one of the Reddit comments shared an XKCD webcomic of where citations come from. And it actually says, like, the user's brain generates facts. These are types into Wikipedia. And then a rushed writer checks Wikipedia for a summary of their subject. Surprised readers check Wikipedia, see the claim and flag it for review. And then essentially it's basically saying there's a big loop of, people taking the mickey out of citations. So it's, that's don't believe everything you see, and Google's AI synopsis needs work. It's not quite there yet. Shocker.
I think they disclaim it as being like an experimental feature, but not to double check what this is suggesting.
So you know what? It has all of that. When you load the page, it gives the results and there's a show more button. And when you click on the show more button, it then displays in small writing, possibly the smallest font on the page, generative AI is experimental. That's all it says.
Yeah.
It doesn't say it might be wrong.
A nice little line there that says, double check what this has said before you trust it.
Yeah.
Because, you think it's there, isn't it, at the top of the page, and it's telling you this is a overview of whatever, and you're going to pretty much believe what it's saying. Some people will, but
tell your users, don't believe everything they see on the internet. Verify, check. Yeah. Martin Lewis. If you're in the UK, you'll probably know who Martin Lewis is. He's the money saving expert. He's like a guy that champions good, loyal, targets scammers and tells you if deals are too good to be true and that kind of thing. Well, this week, post-Christmas, he shared an article, 15 tips to protect your phone from thieves. And there's some interesting stats in this. There are more than 200 mobile phones snatched every single day in the UK.
Wow.
With thieves stealing thousands of pounds from victims by accessing their personal data and banking apps. I'm slightly confused by this, but this is one reason why I thought I'd mention it. So it talks about shoulder surfing. Thieves lingering around pedestrians, keeping an eye out for the phone's PIN code before snatching it. Okay, that clears things up for me. Or nabbing it from you when it's unlocked, giving the thief free reign over your phone. Apparently there's a 150% rise in snatch thefts over the year. And there's an article, what I wish I'd have known before my phone was snatched. And that actually, that's a Financial Times article, so I'm guessing it's probably behind a paywall. But that inspired this article. And this article's quite good because it goes through Find My Phone and similar tracking apps and remote wipe. It tells you to use fingerprint or facial recognition, like most people today most people shouldn't be using a PIN code anymore. No.
I think if I get the option to, I always use my biometrics instead, because I'll never remember all those PIN codes. And
the like on my phone, and this isn't difficult to set up, all my banking apps to make payments and stuff. I need to input a password. Some of the banks, I've got a couple of bank accounts. One of them needs a face, like is this you? Which I would assume is pretty safe. The passcodes for the banking apps, the password for the banking apps that need a password, the password's stored in my password manager, which is biometric. So, and that's like a 16, 17 character password. Interestingly, third tip, get your IMEI number, which is the unique 15-digit code that is specific to your mobile. So get your IMEI number because it can be used to block or identify a phone if it's been stolen. I mean, I haven't got a record of mine, but it's all
I wonder how many people know it, but it's probably...
It's all in the mobile, like EE have got
it'd be
mine.
part of your contract order for, like if you have a contract or maybe if you buy your phone outright.
Or if you got the box.
Yeah.
It's also in the box.
I wonder how many people keep their boxes, but it's a good one to remember when you get a new phone.
Absolutely. Ensure your phone doesn't show the contents of text messages when it's locked, or thieves could see crucial security codes without having access to mobile. So this is an obvious one. Like, if you get text messages as your two-factor authentication, and the text message contains the 6-digit code for your 2FA, then they don't need to unlock the phone to get that, maybe. But if your notifications are hidden, so again, that's good advice for your people with instructions of how to do that. I think we've done that before, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Back up your phone, again, pretty standard now. Definitely on iPhone, like iPhone backup, it pesters the hell out of you if you don't have a backup configured. I assume Android's the same.
Probably. Well, let's have a look, but I don't think it's very obvious if it does. But
right, it probably just does it without even telling you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, most of it's
mobile.
Most of it's
Sorry,
backed up. Sorry, yeah, most of it's probably backed up.
Yeah,
like on a Android phone. Like when you first set it up, you probably get the option to do it then.
Yeah. Don't expect mobile insurance to cover financial losses. It's usually just the phone. I would assume that was the case. Like if I get scammed out of thousands of pounds, I don't think mobile phone insurance is going to cover it.
Probably not.
And then limit phone use in busy places. Keep an eye on your surroundings. Keep your phone physically secure. I mean, that's all quite straightforward. Although, if you put your phone in your pocket, you're in a hurry. Pickpockets exist. It's not always possible. These next ones. So now it goes into extra tips to make your phone even more secure. And these I thought were quite interesting. So set up a hidden folder to hide your sensitive banking apps to make it harder for thieves to find what they're after.
Right.
So you can set up a hidden folder and protect it by biometrics. I think that's an Android thing because I don't think it's an iOS thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can do that on.
No. Oh, it does say iPhones, Samsungs and Android phones have various settings you can use. No idea about that. That's quite interesting. Set up a screen time pin on iPhone. Set up multiple users as another way to hide your sensitive apps on Android. Stolen protection, we've spoken about before. Theft protection and stolen protection, we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. If you want to be extra cautious, you could use a spare or old phone for mobile banking and leave it at home.
Not sure that works in this digital age.
Well, yeah.
Most people use, people
just
use their phones
just
to
use
pay.
a computer. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, just have good security, hygiene.
Right at the bottom of this article, tip number 8, add an extra layer of security by setting up two-factor authentication on your accounts. Why is that not number 1?
Yeah.
That should be like the first thing you do is secure all your accounts with 2FA. It should be number 1.
Surprisingly, something that's missing is, well, at least in the UK, you can register the police, I think, like your phone. So if it does get stolen gets found. Pretty sure that's a thing. Like where you can register it to be marked, I guess, if it's so they can
when it's
identify.
stolen, or like at any point.
Well, I think you do it obviously before it's stolen, but you can do it with various pieces of your property, I think, as well, not just your phone. But like it just helps them identify
So you can like
the
put it
owner
on the
and-
police register of like, I own these devices. Should you ever come across them?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
if we'll have a look into that. And
We'll
drop
do
it
a
in
bit of
the notes.
research. We'll put it in the newsletter, or we'll talk about it next week, one or the other. The last thing in this article, it says what to do after your phone is stolen. So log in your phone's tracking app and block it remotely. That's Find My iPhone or Smart Things or Find My Device. Report it to the police. Call your banks, buildings and credit unions, banks, building societies and credit unions, and report it. I'm not sure I would have done that. I suppose it makes sense, but I would assume once it was locked down, I don't know.
That's a good point, really. I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're, I wouldn't have thought of that either, to be honest. If my phone got stolen,
No. Change your passwords. Contact your insurance company if you have mobile phone insurance, and then be extra vigilant for scams after the theft. So,
well, now I think about it as well. If my phone did get stolen, I probably wouldn't be able to log into my banking. I'd have to reset the codes and whatever else, and I probably need my phone to do that or something.
yeah, you see, that's quite interesting. Hang on, I'm just going to pour some water. That's quite interesting because my two-factor codes are in my password manager, so I can access it. But if you used like an authenticator app,
Yeah,
and your phone gets nicked, then yeah, you'd probably need to recover the app somewhere.
Yes, good one.
I had a couple more things to share this week, and one of these was a video that I saw on Facebook, and I was trawling Facebook. I'm pretty sure it was Facebook, and it came up on the feed. And this video was basically a guy teaching you the consonants in Korean.
Right.
And I'm going to put this video in the newsletter because the way this video is hosted and presented was so engaging and so interesting that I thought it was like a breath of fresh air almost. Really personal. Hang on just a second.
So back in the days, Korea didn't have its own writing system, so they used to use the Chinese characters. If you know anything about Chinese writing, not easy to learn. There are tens of thousands of characters, and most people at the time didn't have the means or the time to learn them. So King Sejong...
So it's really nice because it tells the story about the Korean language and how lots of people couldn't write Korean and Chinese was really complicated. So the idea was, I want people to learn to write Korean in half a day. So they made this brand new writing system. And this video, he goes through and he tells the story and basically teaches you in like 5 minutes. And it's an advert, right? It's an advert for a language service like a Duolingo. But it was really, really interesting. It's so like this would have cost pennies to make. He's just recording it on a mobile phone in front of a dirty whiteboard. But because of the way he tells the story and he presents it, it was really, really engaging. So that's definitely one to, like, if you can make training content that simply like this, like it's not even the room's got a suspended ceiling that looks like it's 20 or 30 years old, and now he's leaning back on a chair and yeah, but it's really nice. So I'll put the link to that in the newsletter as well, because that's it's definitely worth watching. Like, I feel like I learned something as well as like a good story, but I feel like I learned something from that video. So
Yeah, I think that's something, isn't it? These days, a lot of people like casual content a bit more, and without all the flashy animations and graphics or if you think of like a typical cybersecurity training video, it's always a bit dry and bland and generic looking, and yeah.
Do you know what as well? At no point, much like we've aimed to do with this podcast, that felt like a conversation. It felt like I'd just walked in and he was just chatting to me. It wasn't preachy. It wasn't formal. It was casual. It was conversational. It was nice, you know, and that was, I actually did download the app. I've actually done one of the courses. I
Is that your New Year's resolution to learn language?
I don't know. I chose Japanese, and the only word I can remember is the one that I already knew.
Yeah.
So it was, yes. So I'll share the Learn Korean video as well. The other thing is, with that just goes to show you can get inspiration as an awareness professional. You can get inspiration from absolutely anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an awareness thing. It doesn't have to be security related. Duolingo is often referred to for like being the leading gamification nudge kind of, you know, success model. The way they train and educate is brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's fine if you're looking at training and you've got an engaged user base, but this was different. This is just the presentation, and the casual video really works. Really nice.
Yeah.
The last one I have, and this is the last story I have today, and it's one that I just saw before the show. Captchas. Okay, captchas are typically awful.
Yeah.
Like, there's some fire hydrants, traffic lights, bicycles, bridges, and then you've got the ones with the jigsaw pieces, and you've got the ones with the things you have to spin round.
Yeah.
I think I've discovered the best captcha ever.
Right.
Unfortunately, I didn't see this in real life. This was just, I saw this on Hacker News, right? I don't know if anyone actually uses this, but this captcha is play Doom and kill at least 3 monsters.
And it works.
The old game by ID Software. I just died.
What happens if you keep dying?
It's very loud. I mean,
It's quite loud.
it's very loud. That's a very advanced level. I'm not sure that's the right thing.
That's probably why people don't use it. It's impossible
Probably why they
to
don't.
possible to do it. To be fair, a bot would probably nail that, but a human.
I keep dying. I can't get into my email. I keep dying. Captchas don't have to be boring, I suppose, is the key for that. That's probably not the best example, but it was a breath of fresh air. I saw it and I was like, this is amazing. Right in the nostalgia. Anyone under the age of 25 or something is going to be like, what the hell is this? You know, but yeah.
It's one of those things, isn't it, where people talk about Doom and how it can run on anything. And now it's running as a capture.
Yeah, it's not even just in a browser, it's now running in a capture window, which is amazing. It always reminds me there used to be a screensaver on Windows, and I think it was on Windows 95, and it was like running around a dungeon. It wasn't a game, but it was an example of the graphics, which was interesting. I don't know why I mentioned that. It's kind of relevant. That's my story's done. So what have you got for me? You got anything?
I got a couple for this week. One of them is, well, to be fair, both of them are kind of similar to what we've touched on earlier in the episode. But so the first one is obviously this episode's day after New Year's Day, and as part of the tradition of New Year's, a lot of people like to go out and watch fireworks on New Year's Eve. And this one is so in Birmingham in the UK,
Not Alabama.
there was basically a social media hoax of gather in this area to watch the fireworks for this year, which turned out to be a AI created scam of some kind. So basically, thousands of people gathered in Birmingham to watch the New Year's display, and were disappointed at midnight when nothing happened.
Oh no!
Even though I think even the council posted before saying it's not happening, and the police said don't gather for it, but people still went ahead and did it, which is quite an interesting thing.
That's mad. So there was no. It wasn't
So
just
there's no-
because loads of like fireworks displays and stuff got cancelled because of bad weather on New Year's Eve. But that wasn't even the case with this. There was never anything planned.
It was never not officially planned or mentioned. It was kind of like from what it seems like, there's mentions of AI generated posts. I haven't found an example of it, but basically it was on social media. It's been shared by people. You know what it's like on Facebook. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And then like a couple of pages shared it, maybe some local news shared it, and then it spread around and people thought, okay, let's go and gather for this event, and it didn't take place. But it's just sort of one of those things about, again, like, don't believe everything you see online, and especially on social media, and you see a lot of AI generated stuff now on social media, fake images, and as you saw mentioned in the earlier story of the movie, the fake movie, which is, that was probably someone that's created that, but you see on YouTube all the time all these fake movie trailers and TV show trailers and whatever else.
I had one just over Christmas. Was sat with my brother. I don't think I mentioned this last week. I was sat with my brother.
You mentioned it to me.
Did I?
It may have not been on
about the Simpsons movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, they're making a live action Simpsons movie, and I was like, no, I don't think they are. I was like, yeah, it's got like Adam Sandler in it and stuff, and Will Ferrell, and I was like, really? So I went on, and he's like, yeah, there's a trailer on YouTube. So I went on the trailer on YouTube. It's AI. Like, they've got Steve Buscemi plays. Oh my God, why can't I remember his name? The guy that owns the power plant, with the fingers. Yeah.
God, yeah.
Anyway, they showed two shots of each character, and literally Steve Buscemi in one shot is like today, and then Steve Buscemi in the other shot is like 30 years ago with nice smooth skin.
Yeah.
And like Adam Sandler's face looks different into John C. Reilly doesn't look like John C. Reilly at all. It's all AI generated. Jacob Tremblay plays Bart, and in one scene he's got big hair, and in another scene he's riding a skateboard that's like X-shaped with like floppy hair and looks about 6 years younger than that. Yeah, it's awful. But the way my brother was talking, he thought it was real. And it's like, wow, yeah, don't believe everything you see online.
No, definitely since the boom of AI and generative AI images, and now video, and video is getting scarily impressive, and it won't be long before things won't be very distinguishable. The
event you mentioned, the Birmingham fireworks, it reminds me there was at Halloween, the same thing happened in Dublin, where lots of people gathered in Dublin for a Halloween parade that actually didn't exist. It was never planned.
Yeah.
And again, a Pakistani-based company has issued an apology after a human error on its event website led to thousands of people turning up. So people were there filming for 40 minutes, both sides of the street. People were packed 5 to 10 deep, lined up all the way down and around the corner as far as the spire. Thousands were there. The tram line was blocked on both lines.
Jeez.
The crowds had turned up to see the event, which was listed as taking place on the My Spirit Halloween website. But then the police told them to disperse as no such parade was taking place. The company behind the website now says the phony event was neither. It was simply human error. The website falsely advertised that the parade would take place between 7 and 9 on Thursday because it had the previous year and someone had copied and pasted it into the new one.
Right.
and it came up on Google. Again, Google Halloween entries in the days before the 31st of October. And the website was very well optimized and came up really high. So there's photos of that online as well, which is, it's, the streets are packed for nothing, which is incredible.
Yeah. It's quite worrying that there are some people out there that sort of believe anything and will go and wait for hours. And I mean, like, it could be something really horrible, like a terrorist attack or something, right? You get a gathering of people so easily by doing that. Or you could scam them somehow. Like, obviously, it happens. People get scammed all the time.
The other, it could almost be a reverse. Like, initially you said terrorist attack, and I'm thinking, let's get loads of people together and then cause them harm. But the other thing to do is, like, whenever there's an event like that, the police call in additional resources to man that event, to police that event.
Yeah.
Now, if you all of a sudden on a random Thursday night have 8,000 people gathered in a street, every single police officer within a certain mile radius is going to get called to that, because all of a sudden the police have got an unexpected event, lots of people gathered, there's going to be trouble. So that means that where the police should normally be patrolling or manning, they won't be. So there's a, if you need a distraction, it's like, it's a distraction technique, like something out of a Mission Impossible film, where like, if we organise that over there, all the police are going to go there, and then we can break into this bank or something.
It's like a similar thing of, you could be like scammed out of money for buying a ticket for an event that doesn't exist, or a scam for, like, we've done videos before of like Taylor Swift concerts, people getting scammed with fake tickets and stuff. So it's always important to make sure you're on the official thing and verify it, as we've sort of touched on previously.
Yeah, verify. But then again, you can build a website in minutes, and you could build 4 or 5, 6 websites all saying the same thing. It's really tough. You need to have your wits about you, really. But yeah, like if you're parting money, I mean, I suppose you protect it on a credit card, but just make sure you're buying from someone you've heard of and someone you know. I do this. I'm a sucker for t-shirts. I've got 3 drawers for the t-shirts. Like, I'm always buying t-shirts, but I see certain stores come up on like Instagram and stuff, and I'll look at the website and I'll be like, if it's Shopify, it tends to be all right. But if it's like some store and I'm not familiar with it and it just looks a bit off, I'm like, I am not sure if I want to be giving you details. So,
yeah. I just remembered another story. I'll quickly run through it. Obviously, I part-time do some work for an American company for sim racing products.
Yeah.
And as part of that, I manage their support emails, and basically, I've had it before. Someone reached out by the name of a popular YouTube /influencer saying, I want to review your products. Can you send me some, basically? And very nearly started the process of getting their details and asked them for their address. And then as soon as they gave me the address, it was like, oh, this is going to my partner or my friend's house. This is their name, and it's obviously a completely different name.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, okay, let's reach out to them, the person they claim to be, through a different method, and it was a scam.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, always a good thing is, always reach out to the person or company for a different way if you're not fully convinced.
Or you nearly lost money's worth of equipment and someone got some free sim racing gear.
I had one more story as well.
Yeah.
As a couple of weeks old, the Honey Chrome extension scam that's been brought up by the YouTube channel Megalag. And as part of that, I think a lot of people that have used it, a lot of YouTube creators that have used it have done their own videos in response to it. But for those that don't know, obviously Honey is a browser extension that helps you find the best deal and discount code on a website to buy something, like online shopping.
Right.
And it's a Chrome extension that you add to your browser, and it does it all for you. Probably takes all your information and whatnot. But so yeah, that was brought up by Megalag, which basically uncovered a lot of like unethical and bad practices by Honey. And obviously, it's been promoted by a lot of YouTube channels. They get paid a lot of money by Honey to say a minute-long segment of use Honey and get your discount, and click the link below to go and sign up to it and whatever else. And so, it turns out that one of the things that they were doing was, obviously these YouTubers have their own affiliate link to say, go and buy something through here, and they'd get a little bit of money back from making a sale. And with the Honey extension, basically it was at checkout replacing those YouTubers' affiliate links with their own. So essentially these YouTubers weren't getting any money from any sales that they basically helped these businesses make, and Honey was pocketing all of it.
Wow.
And this is a thing that says I think at one point they had 20 million active users on Honey. So it's not like a small thing.
No, I was just looking. Honey's owned by PayPal.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but it's been 2020. I think they bought it.
Yeah, January 2020 for $4 billion.
Yeah.
Wow. In 2022, the company was renamed PayPal Honey.
Mm-hmm.
In 2025, the company is no longer called PayPal Honey.
Yeah.
But like, if you were PayPal, you'd be like, I want to try. Why did we change the name? I just saw as well, Marques Brownlee, who's one of the biggest YouTubers, released a video yesterday, basically apologising for his. I've probably stolen your thunder there. But.
I saw that one as well. Where you go. He was obviously amongst the other YouTubers that had been promoting it.
Yeah.
And I watched his video briefly. I think he said he wasn't aware of it, and he's gone through his videos and deleted that segment.
Wow.
But obviously there's other channels like Linus Tech Tips, one of them, and they've got a lot of videos with Honey adverts in, and I don't think they're going to, they probably should go through and fix it, or at least put some disclaimers on there for people that watch it. But there's other YouTubers like Mr. Beast is one of them that's obviously such a popular YouTuber, and they're promoting this product, and a lot of them, I guess, all of them probably unknowingly were doing it, but they weren't aware that it was misleading them for a start.
We make one video a week, but like, what are we on? 7 weeks? We've made one video a week now. Mm-hmm. Like some of these people like Mr. Beast or Marquez or, Linus Tech Tips. Yeah, Linus Tech Tips are knocking out multiple videos a day as part of that industry. And if you've got to go through and edit, like you can't, there's the trust that has kind of been abused with this is awful, isn't it?
So I mean, that's just for creators alone. They're basically not getting anything from this. I mean, they probably get paid a bit of money up front to advertise it, but they go into it thinking they're going to get some more ongoing money from it, but it basically has all gone to Honey and obviously now PayPal. Well, as of 2020 PayPal, but the other thing with that was for the users of it, they basically weren't getting the best deal as it promises, because somewhere in there it said about how merchants can control what discounts Honey displays to users. So they could be like a 10%, 20% discount code available, but Honey only gives you a 5% one or something. And obviously it's again going into the whole thing of people trust these things, and especially when you're a YouTuber you watch is saying go and download it, and you go and do it, and they're basically just been stealing money essentially.
When you're like, you've been a YouTuber for a long time, like the amount of backlash like Marquez from MKBHD got for his panels app that was expensive and stuff. You know, it's people build you build a trust relationship with these people, much like a TV presenter of old. You know, you kind of trust them. Linux text tips, you know, you trust their opinion on stuff because you know them and you've watched hours and hours of we're seeing people, you know, our videos are now being consumed for hours and hours, and eventually people might trust our opinion on stuff, which is frightening. But you kind of grow to build a trust relationship with these people, and then you find out that, you know, and it's not their fault. Like maybe that last year, I don't know. It's messy, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it happens all the time. Like YouTubers are plugging something just to get some money, I guess. I mean, it helps the channels produce videos, I guess. But so yeah, something I think MKBHD mentions is that they lost 3 million users since that video came out. Well, he mentions that there's 17 million users, but before the Mega Lag video came out uncovering it all, well, they had 20 million. So they've lost 3 million users within that space of time.
MKBHD's lost 3 million users?
No. Honey. Sorry.
Honey.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
Honey had 20 million installed users.
Right.
And now there's 17 million. And their Chrome extension page is full of 1-star reviews now as well. So obviously, it's quite crazy with that.
Yeah. They'll either ride it out or they'll pivot to a new brand, you know, something else. It will, and then everyone will forget. They'll ride the storm. Probably they're big enough to, aren't they?
Probably.
Yeah.
But anybody interested, we can put the Mega Lag video in there. It's really nicely done as well.
Yeah.
We'll
do that.
Nearly 15 million views his video has had. Quite a lot.
Again, I came into this thinking this was like more of a what's the awareness angle on this is quite obvious, isn't it? Because it's a browser extension and you can't trust.
Yeah,
you can't trust it. If you've got users using it, there you go, like 20 million users. So there's people out there that probably people in your organisation that have got this installed. So there's a good story here about not trusting, verifying, and also new year, right? Maybe it's time for a browser extension, you know, audit, make sure the extensions you've got you're still using, and check the reviews, check out the store pages.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of extensions that have a lot of permissions and then ask you to sign up to an account, and you blindly accept their terms and conditions, and they probably sell your data. And
there's one, and this is years old, so I've probably trashed the story completely. Last week we spoke about ad blockers, and we spoke about uBlock Origin. So if I remember the story correctly, uBlock Origin started off as uBlock, and the developer of uBlock sold uBlock to an unknown third party. And like when whoever bought it was like, I don't want anyone knowing who we are. And then I think again, trust with a browser extension. I think the browser extension started doing some stuff that the original didn't. And then the creator of uBlock came back and said, that's not what I made this for. So he made uBlock Origin, which was obviously the original uBlock. Back like this is, and then uBlock. So for a while there was uBlock and uBlock Origin, and you had to be careful which one you installed because it could have been the wrong one. And then uBlock Origin kind of became the one, and just did good. But they sold it. They couldn't disclose who they sold it to, and then obviously it was already installed in all those browsers. If your browser extension gets sold and you don't know who's doing it. So,
I mean, browser extensions, right? You install them one day, you never check them again, really, and then who knows what it's become or what it's doing.
Especially if you don't pin them, because Google changed something in Chrome a while ago where if you haven't got them pinned, and you can have browser extensions installed that you haven't used forever. And
Yeah.
indeed, I went through a little while ago and cleared mine out, and there was ones in there that I'd forgotten I had. A couple had died, like were no longer supported, no longer worked. It was like, somewhat just unnecessary. Like that functionality exists natively in the browser now, or in the operating system. Eyedroppers is quite a common one. Like there's eyedroppers in Windows, there's eyedroppers in macOS, but I've got an eyedropper extension, which I probably don't need, but I did only use it today. So, you know, I'm still using it.
Yeah. That's it for me.
Okay, that's it for me as well. So that's probably it for this week's podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Well, if you are still listening, don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. Get yourself over to Risky Creative, and you can sign up for the newsletter there. You can check up all the previous episodes, and you can also, if there's anything you want us to talk about or you think we need to know, you can contact us through the website. You can email us at hello@riskycreative.com, or you can fill in the contact form on the website. Please like and subscribe, and if you're on if you want to leave us a review, please do, because apparently they really help with coverage, and reviews are probably more important than stars, I think, or something. Reviews are really important on Apple Podcasts, so leave us a review.
Yeah, I think as well as follow us on your favourite podcast platform.
Yes.
If you want to keep listening to these conversations.
Yes, and on YouTube. Give us questions as well. Comment if you see the posts, YouTube or LinkedIn. Please do comment and ask us questions and give us feedback. It's been a quiet week this week because no one's at work and everyone's on holiday. So we actually didn't have any comments this week, which is why there hasn't been a comments section. But please give us some comments and we'll discuss them in the next one.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Luke.
Thank you very much.
And see you next week on the next episode.
Cool, yeah. Catch you later.
Cool. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.